Mario Maker? I thought that was your job.
You just make one of those for me, man. That game rules, though.
Is this Arctic Egg? This is issue 352 of the Insert Credit Audio magazine, where our panel of video game experts will kill again if not kept in check by our horrible buzzer.
That's right.
I'm Alex Jaffe, and if I were making an esports entry in the Air Bud franchise, I would call it Air Bud Game Rover.
Okay. I'm Frank Cifaldi, and if I were making an Air Bud entry...
an esports entry.
An esports entry in the Air Bud franchise. Wow, I really mixed that up there. I'd call it Buddy League, and it would just be Rocket League, but just like Airbuds running around like really fast.
That's pretty good.
Turbo Doggin.
Yeah.
I'm Tim Rogers, and if I were making an esports entry in the Airbud franchise, I don't know. I'd make a MOBA that sucks and gets shut down and makes a bunch of golden parachute money for somebody. I don't know.
It's probably what would happen.
Tax break money, tax. I would make something tax fraudulent.
I would use it to commit tax fraud.
Yeah, I would. That's what we call that a TFO where I'm from, the tax fraud opportunity. So,
I'm Brandon Sheffield, and if I were to make a esports something or other, Airbud, some other things, I spent this whole time trying to figure out how to work a Chihuahua pun in here, and I failed to do it. So that's as far as I got.
All right. I'll get back to you all after the break. I'll give you a minute to percolate.
Some with Chihuahuas.
I had a great answer.
Yeah, Buddy League was perfect.
If I were making a horror game in the Airbud franchise, it'd be called Scare Bud.
There you go.
I'll take it.
And if I were to make a fashion game in the Airbud franchise, I'd call it Hairbud.
Okay. You know what? I'll take it. Not what I asked, but good enough to move on. Here's my first question this week. Why do we see floatiness in games as a bad thing? Can floatiness be good?
Well, sure. Princess Peach floating is good in your Super Mario 3. And
is that what we're talking about,
Super Mario 2.
2 is what I meant.
I think Luigi's more floaty and Princess Peach is hovery, but she's also floaty.
Yeah, with his kickity-kickity.
She's also floaty.
Yeah, I guess we're not talking about like Breath of the Wild floating where it's a very intentional floating.
I'm breaking the silence today. I think Princess Peach and Luigi both suck and are not fun to play as in Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah, I only ever played as Mario.
I think Mario's the real game, and I think Toad is the real game for true mavens.
Yeah, if you want to pick up turnips fast and throw them.
You know, when someone says Princess Peach is their favorite character in Super Mario Brothers 2, you know what they usually say? If you ask them a few follow-up questions, they say they played it as a child. As a small child. They'll offer that information free. So make of that what you will. I don't know.
Yeah, I had an interesting experience with floatiness where I tried to do it intentionally in Gunsport for quite some time because I wanted players to feel more comfortable aiming their guns in the air, because in that game you're supposed to shoot a gun at a ball to get it into a goal. And so I thought that if people could jump and had more hang time, they would feel more comfortable having more angles of approach to shoot the ball. And what actually happened was people thought that the jumps were floaty, which was true, but the intentionality of it didn't come across to them at all. And so I wound up changing the jumps to there's one team that hovers because they're robots and it makes sense, but the rest of them, they aren't floaty anymore. And people just learned how to shoot from wherever they were anyway, which is, I should have trusted players more to figure stuff out is the answer. So it can be, but I didn't do a good job of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm immediately suspicious of a game that has a side-scrolling game that has a side-scrolling platform video game with a floaty jump.
Yeah.
I am immediately very suspicious of it.
And that was what got people suspicious of guns. That only existed for a little while in a couple of trade shows, but it made people suspicious, and I understood their suspicion very well because I am also suspicious. It feels like you don't know how to make a jump if you make it floaty. It just doesn't feel right.
It kind of comes across as ignoring the lessons of decades of jumping. When that happens.
Yeah.
Like I can do this my own way. I don't have to learn.
Or that you are an amateur doing it for your first time. A lot of them feel
it's usually what it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So when I think floaty jumps, I think of, I haven't talked about this game for a very long time, but Fez, I think, is the exact point where a jump becomes floaty to a point that completely obliterates any reason I would have to enjoy the game. Like completely, it's like just its toe is a millimeter over the line where it just completely ruins the game for me.
That's interesting to me because I
Can't play it.
It didn't bother me at all there because I didn't feel like I didn't feel like precision was required.
Yeah, I know. So that's the justification I hear whenever I bring this up, and someone.
But they could have had a better jump. There's no reason for them not to have.
There's no reason for the jump to have not been a little more exciting.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, I'm not asking for it to be an enthralling, thrilling jump. It doesn't have to be like a really like, powerful feeling jump or whatever. It's just, it feels really dainty and it feels like pseudo Kirby-esque. I mean, Kirby is, that's not a jump. Kirby's just 100% floating all the time.
Yeah, it's a bouncy float.
But it's just, I mean, that's a different type of video game, whereas Fez is more interested in the mechanicals of a platform game, right? And the justification I hear is, oh, well, they're just not interested in that. They're not interested in precision. The game's not interested in precise technical play the way like a Mario would be. And it's like, okay, I understand that, but it just kind of feels like, was this floaty jump decided upon by like a process? Was there a process like of thought?
Or did it just wind up there?
Yeah, or was it just a placeholder that is just in there? And I mean, there's enough animation to it where it's like, your guy does a thrust and then there's a hang and then there's a descent, right? So it's like, it's all in there. It's just, there's a little bit too much float. I could do with a little bit less float. And then, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, there's, if you want to play the least floaty game possible, the Hollow Knight has just the snappiest, most beautiful jumps. Like snappy, beautiful, incredibly. They're juicy enough. They're not too juicy. There's just enough juice on the animation. There's just enough snap. There's just enough hang time to get precise about your landings and whatnot. And that's just an incredible jump.
And then the snappy attacks that add to it too. It's just,
I feel like rather than that being the opposite is more like a Makaimura where it's a set arc and you can't once you've started it, you've committed to it.
Commitment jump, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean yeah. Floatiness happens because people aren't interested.
I've got a challenge for you.
Yeah, what do you got?
I would like you to design a brand new status effect that has never been in a video game before.
Oh my.
Okay. Crypto
Bro.
Oh man, yeah, you decide you like crypto.
Yeah.
That's a curse that a wizard puts on you.
It's a curse, and
your guy decides he likes crypto, and you can't buy stuff at stores unless they have a Bitcoin accepted sign out front.
You wind up hoarding digital items, and so like when you try to go into your menus, it's full of apes and other animals with Technicolor graphics behind them.
Dude, I could see this like being a genuine Yakuza, like a dragon status thing where there's like certain enemies who fight you, and it's possible for one of them to convince you crypto is cool, like during the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, I beat that guy up, but now that I'm thinking about it, and then
that is a very like a dragon thing to do.
You can only shop at convenience stores that accept the in-game cryptocurrency for like the next couple hours.
Well, also all the items that are like fungible are grayed out when you go shopping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you only want non-fungibles.
What is the antidote item that you can consume to relieve the effect?
Girlfriend. You get a girlfriend.
Yeah,
you get a girlfriend who's like,
good.
What? You have to go. You go on a date with any girl in the game, and then during the date you bring up crypto, and then she immediately says, "Look, I'm going to go home right now if you don't abandon this crypto thing. And I will never talk to you again, and I will tell all of my hot friends not to talk to you again." And then you're like, "I'm sorry."
You might be able to just get it out through a hostess bar if you just like throw money at the problem.
I was also going to say this is my joke based on what the internet keeps saying. If you just go over any grass If you touch grass.
Oh, yes. If you walk over grass.
Then it's you're
perfect.
Cured.
There's not a lot of grass in Kamurocho, though.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. You got to find it. It's like underneath a tree, maybe. There's
you got to go to one of those children's parks.
Oh, man, I just thought of a really good status effect also. Like, I feel like none of the ones I'm going to come up with in the next several hours, if we were to do this for 5 more hours, they would all be Yakuza game related for whatever reason. But just living here in New York City, I feel like a status effect where you're just really interested in your phone because you made a post and you're just seeing what people are replying to it. And then you couple into that the Marcus Phoenix Gears of War fingers in the ear while you walk really slowly while a dialogue is explained, while there's dialogue. And so it's like your guy will just you'll be traversing the world and your guy will just slow down without your ability to control it because he's got his phone 2 hands in front of his face because he made a post.
Well, I think and the cure for that will be someone doing to you what I do to all the characters doing that in Yakuza, which is run straight into him and knock him down.
Yeah.
Because it's very fun for me, especially from behind, and they go, whoa!
Yeah, there should be NPCs in Yakuza who are running around crazy.
You know, I get real mad when I run into somebody in an open world game and they don't like drop the item they're carrying, you know?
Yeah.
Like I like to see a guy drop his like Coke or drop his hot dog or drop his ice cream. Otherwise it feels completely useless.
Better if it goes flying 30 feet in the air.
What would the name of this status ailment be? Just made a good post? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Posters madness.
Yeah, posters madness, posters disease. Good post.
Posters delight, it's called.
Yeah, posters delight.
Because you're just too you want to see if people are retweeting your post. Also like flashing on the screen like the bloober in Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
And also the bloober in Bloober Teams, Silent Hill. Flashing on the screen are these like randomly generated responses to your post. So cool.
LOL, LMAO.
Yeah, and they're just like taking up the whole screen.
Yeah, www.
Oh,
you, sir, have won the internet.
The way to remove the status ailment is to get hit by a car. You have to like step in front of a car on purpose to wake up your character. And then, you know, somebody gets to write a blog post about how it daintily sketches the line between player and character. Or whatever. Oh, you must, right? So you end up, some psycho idiot has to say something like that in their YouTube video, talking about a guy like me, not making fun of any existing person. I'm not an existing person. Thank you.
Barely any of us are. All right. Anyone have any last ideas? Because I like 3.
What, you want 3? I think we did a good enough job.
3 stat ailments? 3 stat ailments? We can think of another one that's Yakuza related.
Like sticky hands. Like just ate something, got sticky hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to get rid of an item that you're wielding.
Ralph Wiggamitis.
Accidentally steal stuff at convenience stores and then people chase you.
That actually would be pretty funny. Good. Sticky hands.
I was actually, as you were about to say sticky hands, I was thinking you stepped in gum. Because I stepped in gum the other day and it's horrible.
It is.
You stepped in gum and then your kicking attacks are too weak during the next battle. It's harder to kick because your feet.
And you run like almost with a limp because your foot keeps sticking to the stupid ground.
Yeah.
Also, just in general, it's distracting and it's harder to make decisions. So like your menu might be slower or something.
And you have to fix it by running over grass.
Oh my God, dropped your phone. Again. Dropped your phone is one. And then whenever you use the menus are glitching until you go to a phone repair store. Right?
Oh, that's bad.
In summary, AAA video game developers, god darn step it up, you morons. Go outside a couple times. Live some life. There's stuff to do. There's stuff to put in these games.
Now that we've given the game industry some advice, it's time for us to give the movie industry some advice.
Okay.
The latest news on the Bioshock movie is that it is still in production, but its budget has been cut significantly.
Yeah. Is this true?
Yeah, this is true. What cost-saving measures would you recommend for the Bioshock film?
Reuse the sets from The Shape of Water.
If you can find them.
Yeah. They're in Guillermo del Toro's delightful basement. I'm sure that man has like one of the most delightful basements. He has a cabinet of curiosities, so he probably also has a delightful basement.
Yeah, I mean, move the CG work to Vietnam. That'll save you some cash. It's probably the kind of thing they're going to do.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the CG. Just have characters respond to things that they're seeing off camera.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've got a really good one. Really good one.
Yeah.
Fire all the actors. Hire voice actors. It's all audio logs, the whole thing.
Just
The
audio
whole thing
logs.
is audio logs.
It's just a camera with audio logs. Yeah.
No, there's a guy being like, I wonder what happened here.
The whole thing is a first person
There's a
movie.
big reel-to-reel tape recorder on this table.
Yeah.
Let's press the button, guys.
Just rifling through trash cans, picking up tape recorders.
The main character is a YouTuber who is going to Rapture.
Yeah, Bioshock starring Logan Paul.
Yeah, I got to say that reducing the budget on the Bioshock movie is probably the worst thing you could do to it, because the only thing that's, to me, has ever been kind of neat about Bioshock has been the look and the weird environments and stuff.
Yeah.
The atmospherism, yeah.
It's not like it stands on the strength of characters and story.
If you get that out of there, what do you got? Like an Ayn Rand fan fiction?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
Nobody needs that.
Bioshock, dude.
Hire unknown actors. That's another one.
Nobody wants a known actor.
Yeah. Probably not in Bioshock.
Get one guy with some sort of street cred.
Yeah, just get Nicolas Cage for 3 days.
Yeah, he plays Andrew Ryan, and he's in literally 2 scenes.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
But the first one is he looks right at the camera and he goes, "Would you kindly watch this film?" And
Would you kindly enjoy? And then a Coca-Cola logo just zooms in, and they show a guy's hands diving into popcorn, and then the popcorn turns into water as the camera goes underwater.
yeah.
All right, that's
And then
good.
the rest of the film is recorded. It's recorded over Zoom. It's just all the actors over Zoom.
Well, I was thinking the Nicolas Cage thing would be a cameo.
Right.
They would record a cameo.
Yes, it
for
has the
$50.
From
It's vertical.
Cameo
It's
logo in the
film
bottom
work.
right corner.
I just have to clarify this. I assume that is something that happens before movies in the theater now. Is that what you were talking about?
No, I mean there's always been ads for Coca-Cola and popcorn before movies.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought you were referencing a specific thing.
No,
that
he
Nicolas
just
Cage
says, "Would you
did.
kindly watch
Okay.
this movie?"
Okay. All right. I thought I was missing a theater
Yeah,
reference.
please join us in our shared delusion here, Brandon.
Yeah, it would be fun. I mean, I would appreciate
Well, it would be
it.
fun.
It's kind of like, for example, when Nintendo used to tell you, "Oh, thank you for selecting the Nintendo Entertainment System: The Legend of Zelda pack."
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the front page of the manual, and to look for this seal on all software and accessories for your Nintendo Entertainment System. Like, it would be like that. They should have that
Yeah.
for movies.
I
Make people feel
just
more
thought
comfortable.
I thought there was a Nicolas Cage version of the Tom Cruise "I'll see you at the movies" kind of deal. Or "Thanks for coming to watch movies in the theater where they're supposed to be."
Just trying to put it's actually a Nicole Kidman thing for the last 10 years or so, which they gotta do something else. Every time I go to an AMC, I get upset.
She's
with the
got to
Nicole
be an
Kidman
adult
thing.
by now.
They got to get Nicolas Cage to ask you to, would you kindly enjoy this film?
Yeah, would you kindly enjoy this movie? Get Nicole
sounds
Kidman
cool.
in the movie and have her, in like a sort of a roaring 20s attire. We're not even talking about the movie at this point. Like, who cares? Okay, so the best video game thing so far, the best video game adaptation so far, if anybody's keeping track, is definitely the Fallout show.
Mm-hmm.
I believe is the best video game adaptation thing. And bad news for anyone trying to make a Bioshock thing, because
Your lunch got
that
eaten.
Fallout thing's budget's enormous.
Right.
Yeah.
That thing must have cost a lot. Like, holy Lord. How much money did that cost? 200 million, 300 million bucks? Like, it looks so fancy, right? That's a big goddamn big butt budget thing.
Did I tell you all that I had like a round table discussion with Gore Verbinski about the Bioshock movie when it was first being
Produced?
and or promoted as an idea, and I was in there, and Chris Kohler asked to come, and Chris Kohler came, and then we talked about Bioshock, and that's why I had to read Ayn Rand, because I was they were talking about consulting for the movie, and I was like, I guess I need to read this stupid book, and boy, I hated it.
That's why so many video game adaptation movies are like awful, right?
Yeah.
Because they get guys like Chris Kohler in the room.
Oh, no.
Chris
That's interesting. That
He-
explains like a lot about the history of video game adaptations.
He did, but he didn't actually get to do anything.
Is he the sort of guy who like gets called?
Mike is the sort of guy that gets called.
Mike is a legit guy.
He got called for Free Guy.
Oh yeah, that's I bet that was a lot of fun. Did he have to explain like what a video game is? To
We should just put in 5 seconds of silence after Brandon says he got called for a free guy.
I watched that movie. That movie's whole thing is there are these people who want to make a video game that's not violent, but their publisher says it has to be violent, and their main character wants to be pacifist or whatever, and it's just it's really lame. Minecraft exists, man. I don't know.
It's time for us to go to a break. Let's do that.
Oh, okay.
The following ad supports the Insert Credit podcast, but is not necessarily endorsed by its individual members. This is the Insert Credit Quick Break. I'm Alex Jaffe, and this week's episode of Insert Credit is sponsored by Optimal Monopoly's Capital is the Constraint. After a decade of making children's music about petting dogs and chocolate milk, Taylor Nadell has returned to heavy metal with Capital is the Constraint. Inspired by bands like Strapping Young Lad, Protest the Hero, and Ed Guy, or more broadly, Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, Capital is the Constraint is anti-capitalist prog death groove metal, and is an expression of the frustration of living in a late capitalist society. Fun fact, the album cover is a double drummer cicada shell, the loudest cicada in the world. A second species of cicada, the red-eye cicada, is present as a synth sound in the post-choruses. You can check out the EP on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, and all your favorite streaming services by searching Optimal Monopoly, or check the link in the episode description. Redistribute the wealth! Welcome back to Insert Credit. I think it's time for our snake break. Brandon, you want to give us an update?
Hey, snakes. Yeah. All right. This is the last one in the series of movies that I got that had a snake fact stuffed inside the DVD. This one, Hungry Snake Woman. This is the one I was trying to purchase. The DVD is fun because the only way you can purchase this is as a bootleg, and it's got Greek on the back for some reason, despite being an Indonesian movie. Directed by Siswaro Gautama Putra. It's a mystical horror film starring Indonesian horror legend Susanna, who's always good. It's actually a sequel to a movie that I never saw called The Snake Queen, and maybe this has something to do with my diminished understanding of the movie because the plot is totally scattered, and it's possible that it would have made more sense with a vision into the first movie, but I'm not confident in that. But this one delivers when it comes to Snake Women, which is what we're here for when it comes to this collection of DVDs, because there are two, and their makeup and effects work is actually a lot more impressive than basically the other two movies combined. There's two rival Snake Women, and it's just a huge grab bag of ideas about what kind of damage a snake woman could inflict on people mentally or physically. Like a dragon bursts through a guy's chest, like an alien film. There's a lady who's forced to do a sexy dance with an umbrella by snaky things. And a guy who's enticed to eat women's breasts for gold. Very classic snake trope there. And there's a hero of some sort who is there to fight the various evils, but he's only in the first 5 minutes and the last 30. It's a very, very odd movie, but all the visual effects and costumes and weird ideas make it fun to watch. So verdict, seek it out if you can.
Nice. Now hit us with that fact.
Snake fact. Levantine viper. It is known and feared for its very toxic venom. That one, I think, I buy it. That one might be true.
You know, I believe it was Saint Stavros who drove the snakes out of Greece.
I think you got it.
Maybe that's who inspired this.
I think you got a raw deal when you purchased this facts pack because it's basically just name of the snake and a sentence from Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's their Pokedex.
The cards themselves are kind of cute though. They seem very 70s-ish. Yeah. But yeah, there's repeated language on these cards. Like they did not go all out. But anyway, that concludes the snake breaks. I hope you sort of
thank you, Brandon.
Enjoyed it or whatever. It was fun.
I sure did. Let's see if we can do something like that again sometime in the future. Maybe not literally that, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, everybody listening to the podcast needs like a good time to check their
phones.
To check their phones, I guess. And maybe they're even already on their phone, probably, when it comes up.
Hello, this is Esper Quinn, editor of Insert Credit. I'm popping in briefly to let you know that the following segment about video game magazine covers is pretty visual, so I've included some links to things you're going to hear about in the show notes. You could also take this opportunity to watch this episode on YouTube, where I upload each episode with full video. Thanks. Enjoy.
Time to go to the dirtbag. This week's question comes from Rice9, who submitted this question by going to patreon.com/insertcredit, where you could get access to the forum that lets you submit questions. You get monthly bonus episodes and other interesting surprises. Maybe another snake fact? Who knows?
Surprise.
This week's question comes from Rice9, who asks, what is your favorite video game magazine cover?
I mean, Brandon never read video game magazines, so
Yeah, I'm pretty much out of this one.
I mean, I have one. I'm going to try to throw it in the chat here. It's Ultra Game Players. It was a long time ago, but Ultra Game Players had really good covers in general. And there's a cover I like. That's my favorite of them all. And I'm pasting it into the chat. And everyone's going to... You've all seen it. I know Frank's seen this before. This is my favorite video game.
Let's see it.
I've definitely seen it.
Favorite video game magazine cover of all time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is incredible.
Surfing Donkey Kong.
Well, it's not.
It's Funky Kong. It's not Surfing Donkey Kong.
Whoa.
You goddarn, your street cred has gone down the toilet. That's Funky Kong.
I don't think anyone...
Esper, put a flushing sound effect here.
I don't think anyone expected me to know all the Donkey Kong characters.
This is an incredible cover because it is as if someone from the year 2024 made a meme cover from 1994.
Yeah.
Like game. So I'm just going to describe it. We have the largest promotional art for Funky Kong ever published.
Yes.
He is
for
just
sure.
front and center. He is the star of the, like, it's literally just Funky Kong on a surfboard.
On a mint green surfboard.
He has two lens flares.
On a mint green surfboard. The way that he's kind of depicted on the corner of that box with like bonus funky mode or whatever that was.
And it's like they were calling back to this specific magazine cover.
And then on the lower left corner, instead of new funky mode, is Shaq Attack with Shaquille O'Neal promoting Shaq Fu. Both of these things, this is almost proof of time travel to me.
Yeah. There's a little dot that says The Lion King, best movie game ever.
Yeah. This is the November 1994 issue of Game Players, Sega, Nintendo, and more. Ultimate Reviews, Earthworm Jim, Sonic & Knuckles, Return of the Jedi, Shaq Fu, Indiana Jones.
Right.
Donkey Kong Country. They said graphics this good could never be done on a SNES.
Who was that?
Which you can tell it's a SNES. And then it, not an SNES.
Because it's A.
And then it says, full review, hidden levels, and all the bananas you can eat in our 6-page feature. Shaq Attack. Shaq joins our team to review the season's hottest games. And then at the top line, it says Mortal Kombat 2, 4 pages of killer combos.
They spell combos with a C, though, right?
Combos with they spell it with a K. Because it's Mortal Kombat. Combat killer combos. Nothing like having 3 Ks in a thing on a. The dog ear in the upper left corner, using graphic design professional terms, says Scoop. Cruisin' USA, pics of Ultra 64's first game.
Ooh.
And then on the sidebar and the up top, and they've got a little pardon the interruption sidebar that says Game Players Revolution Month 3. New work in progress features. New 3DO Jaguar section. New look sports.
I like that 3DO and Jaguar have a combined section because everyone was kind of like, we know this isn't going to make it.
Yeah.
Well, no, they were new consoles. It was November 94. Game Players had multiple magazines. They had a Sega magazine. They had a Nintendo magazine, right? So they merged to have just a Sega Nintendo magazine. And then this is the month where they added the and more in the little corner so that there's a 3DO Jaguar section. Soon they would be adding Saturn and PlayStation, which just they changed their name to Ultra Game Players in order to just be like, to make sure you knew there was more than Sega, there was more than Nintendo in there.
I have a question about this issue.
Yeah, what do you got?
So in the Ultimate Reviews, it lists a bunch of games that are reviewed in this issue. One of them is Shaq Fu.
Yeah.
But according to the Shaq Attack sidebar, we see that Shaq joins our team to review this season's hottest games. Mm-hmm. Is that not a conflict of interest to have Shaq joining you to review Shaq Fu?
Excellent question.
His presence within the magazine is pretty much reflected in this cover, which is he's just kind of popping out of the corner with less than a sentence to say. It's purportedly real blurbs by him, but I mean, who even really knows at this point, right?
I'm looking at the list of reviews in this issue, and I am wondering what he has to say about Mickey Mania, The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse.
You gotta love Mickey Mania. But the one thing I like about the Game Players covers, and was very inspirational to me as a burgeoning graphic design minded person, I like the centered drop caps on the Sega and Nintendo. The S is kind of dropped in the middle, and then the EGA is kind of right there in the middle. I like the ridges. I like the lines of the bar underneath the logo. I like the stroke on the Game Players logo and the 135 degree angle, 100% opacity black drop shadow. I like that. I'm a real big fan of the And More and the little Lion King Best Movie Game Ever pop-up thing. I like the fact that they changed the color of the logo every issue to match, and they changed the color of the ridge accents to just kind of match a graphical element. In this case, they took Funky Kong's surfboard, which is a mint green, and they put the Donkey Kong Country. They put the banner that says full review, and the Game Players logo and the ridges are all the same shade of mint green, which is, in case you're wondering, it's 66FF99 is your RGB code for that. In case you're wondering. I don't know why I know that off the top of my head, but then they've got straight up red for juxtaposed with it and a powder blue background, which is really ugly. The red and green and blue combo is very disgusting to look at because it's a mint green, it's a primary red, and then it's a sky blue. And it's just oppressively disgusting looking. But then there's a bright yellow in the lower left corner, which I also think is nice. But I think this is like the Rosetta Stone of 1990s video game magazine covers. And you can take that to the bank. So, Game Players, November 1994. I apologize if our goddarn the question asker didn't expect a thorough answer.
Yeah.
Here's my next question.
Well, hang on. I like this Atari Age cover. January, February 83. It's an original painting promoting the game Crazy Climber, which I have no feelings about either way. But I really like that there's just this full page painting that's just for this, that's got this really interesting perspective, got some good action lines. It's got a bird coming at the guy. It's got a weird like office worker like shaking his fist from a window and stuff. It has the instead of just text on the cover explaining what's being previewed, it's actually painted into the image as a billboard. So I like that one, like genuinely. And then I ironically like this Japanese Dreamcast magazine that's just here's a horse.
No, that rules. The one with the horse rules. So I didn't even get into Japanese game magazine covers, but in Famitsu alone, there are hundreds of covers by the legendary artist Susumu Matsushita, who did it in addition to other things. He did the box art and for all the Ghouls and Ghosts games, the Makai Mura. He did a cover of a Tatsuro Yamashita greatest hits album. He did a cover for one of those. There are so many great covers featuring the Famitsu mascot in various video game poses, and there's just too many to choose from. There's just way too many to choose from. So I wouldn't even try. I wouldn't know how to try. Here's one I'm pasting in the chat. That's the mascot hugging Chun-Li from Street Fighter.
That's a great illustration.
Right. So, I mean, it's just kind of insane how good these old Famitsu covers were. This is back when it was still called Famicom Tsushin before they shortened it to Famitsu.
I'm going to throw one in there as well from just one of my personal favorite game developer.
The Minecraft game developer cover.
Game developer, just because of what we got when we did Katamari Damacy. We got some.
Oh yeah.
We got original art of the prince rolling up the game developer logo in 3D, and it was very, very cute. And I wish I could find the cover because I can't remember what month it was.
For some weird reason, like that one is just not in the digital collection that you can get. So I had to scan it, but I will find it. I believe December 2005.
Yeah, it's not the best cover, but the fact that we got that original art and they were game for it was very fun for us. So
I'm just scrolling through a bunch of Famitsu covers, and holy lord, it's just a whole genre of like these people just didn't know how good they goddarn had it, you know? Like the readers of this magazine, like looking back at this, it's so cool. Like the illustrations are like they're so specific but so cool. right? Like, this is it's just the neatest goddarn thing.
I just want to correct it for anyone listening. It was December 2004.
December 2004. Yeah, here's the Katamari cover. It's really just the art on it of the 3D logo getting rolled up, and there's a duck on the front pooping out an egg.
Yeah, that's irrelevant and quirky.
Nothing else in the cover is particularly arresting, but
there's a lot of what you'd call like white space.
Yeah,
but I don't know that it's effective. It's just there.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to just constantly.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it's not the cover that is interesting.
I like most of the covers from this.
I actually think Keita Takahashi's a really, really clever guy. He's really smart. He's really funny. He's really fun to work with. And I joined the chorus of white men in their 40s heralding him as a genius.
All right, next question. This should be a simple one. What's a sokoban?
No.
Okay.
Come on.
That's when you push the boxes.
We were talking about this last week, and I joked about let's talk about sokobans for 60 minutes. You should have said that at the beginning.
Yeah. All right.
What's a... I think that's like a research project.
Yeah.
To explain exactly what one is, because I made so many good jokes about it. Were they good jokes? I don't know what they were. What were the jokes?
Oh man, imagine trying to read an academic paper on what a sokoban is.
Because it's like, do you have to be pushing boxes in a sokoban, or can you just be like Void Stranger, where you're just picking them up and moving them elsewhere? Or
Yeah, can you be a Vagrant story which has a very light touch of a sokoban in it?
Yeah, that's the kind of discussion you're signing up for, is just me going, what? Mm-hmm. In response to a couple of the suggestions, which, I mean, sure, I can see it. I'm all about having broad definitions of things.
I wouldn't say that it is a sokoban. I would say that it is, but it is aware of sokoban.
Sure. It's sokoban aware.
We can table this for another time.
Let's stop talking about sokobans and start talking about Sugorokus, dude.
Here's my options for you. We can have another question and do a regular roll lightning round, or we can wrap up season 3 of Violence Island. What do you think?
Like I care.
I say flip a coin, Charles.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it.
That's how you can tell I just recently watched X-Men, the first X-Men movie, is because I said Charles.
It's heads, which means we're going to Violence Island.
Or it could have been you watched Batman Forever with Two-Face in it.
Or The Edge, starring Alec Baldwin and
This may be the series finale of Violence Island. I might retire it altogether after this one. We'll see. You, the fans, will be the ultimate determining vote there. If I get a massive outcry, maybe we'll come back for a 4th round, but otherwise this might be it.
Oh, sounds like Jaffe's casting a line. Sounds like he's throwing that worm on the hook right out there.
So what I've done here is I've taken our past 8 winners of Violence Island, and we're going to determine who amongst them is our champion of champions. I've also rolled our brand new Wheel of Violence for each one of them, so each of them gets a positive or negative randomly determined status effect. So we'll have to keep that in mind as we go forward. Our first match this evening on Violence Island for our Season 3 finale is Sonic the Hedgehog with a Bowie knife versus Sylvando from Dragon Quest. Now, Sonic gets to choose what time of day the fight happens, and Sylvando has a glass jar filled with live bees.
Okay.
All right. I still don't know anything about Sylvando.
He has multiple glass jars filled with live bees.
You should try playing Dragon Quest XI. That's the easiest one to get into, and it's available now on all major platforms.
He's got a big clarinet, I've noticed.
I mean, that's not usually what the first thing people think of.
I just looked him up, and there's a picture of him holding a gigantic clarinet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, that's not...
On the DragonQuest.org wiki.
He's many things, okay.
I think Sonic would be very reluctant to hurt him. He's just so likable.
He's a dude Sonic's with a dude.
Such a good dude.
Maybe regular Sonic, but this is Sonic with a knife.
Well, we know that one of the effects Sonic has is every time he vanquishes a foe, the foe becomes his friend.
That's true.
Right.
It has happened every single time.
Except for Eggman.
Eggman's probably been his friend at some point. There's got to be some Sonic game
they were on the same Olympic team.
Yeah, there you have it. But I mean, Knuckles, Shadow, You know, I don't. Who cares? He's got a knife.
He's got a knife, and he can determine what time of day the fight starts.
I mean, the time of day thing doesn't really do much. Sylvando can operate at all hours.
Yeah.
As a circus performer, as a theatricist of sorts, he thrives at night, as it were.
Is he as fast as Sonic? Because Sonic's
of
very
course
fast.
not, no.
I think that's the thing. So Sonic will probably
Fastest thing alive. Come on.
stab him a couple times in the kidneys, and that'll.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic with a knife is pretty tough.
Yeah.
If you were like Sonic with one shoe or like something else, like the positive status effect on Sonic just doesn't bode well for anybody.
Where did he get
else.
that knife from again? I forget.
Oh, the original nomination that he came from was Mario with a gun versus Sonic with a knife. So the knife is grandfathered.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got a knife.
All right. Well, I think Sonic
I think
takes
that's
it.
Sonic. All right. Our next round is Booker from Bioshock Infinite
Oh, good.
versus the Monster Hunter from Monster Hunter.
Oh, absolutely, the Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
but
well,
anyway, keep
hold
going.
on. Booker starts with the advantage of the high ground because he's at the top of a stone tower.
Okay.
And the Monster Hunter has tinnitus.
Okay.
All right. I still think Monster Hunter is gonna push through and do it. They can get up that tower probably. Although that is.
I mean, remember the way to properly play this game as originally pitched eons ago is if you want someone to win, you write the fan fiction where they win, right? I feel like
That's the spirit of it, yeah.
We occasionally lose sight of that in just this guy would kill him. So I'm thinking it's a stone tower and he's
Yeah.
on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Monster Hunter gets inside of it.
Well, also he could, if it's a Lancer, for example, he can shoot a big rocket at it, and knock that thing down.
I think he's got a big old giant greatsword, a big old broadsword, uses it as a shield and runs toward the tower. And
okay.
Booker has some of the worst FPS mechanics of all time. So
I don't think he's got much of a chance here.
truly abysmal first-person shooter combat.
Yeah, he may have guns and such, but Monster Hunter's done better under worse circumstances.
Yeah, Monster Hunter has killed giant dragon beasts. So.
Yeah.
What's the thing that's OP the most in Bioshock Infinite? It's like you throw a black blob of goo on the ground that turns
some
into
darkness
crows
thing,
that blow. It's like crow mines that blow up and causes crows to peck guys. They added all these finicky esportsian mechanics that don't make any sense. I think our Monster Hunter's getting in that tower and charging up that tower.
Yeah.
And lifting him off. Lifting him.
All right. Our next match is Tatsuo in the Super Fighter, the ship from Truxton, versus Agent 47 with half a foot long hot dog from his last match. Now, the status effects here are that Tatsuo just stayed up all night before this match watching international soccer, so he's pretty tired.
Okay.
And Agent 47 just found an armory of a Viking longship that washed ashore Violence Island.
That's pretty cool. Well, I guess the question is whether the hot dog or the Viking armory, it doesn't really matter which, can reach up to plane height before getting carpet bombed by the plane.
Can he throw this thing hard enough to bird strike Truxton?
Yeah, that's the question.
I believe he can throw hard enough as long as it's within eyesight. I believe he has an infinite throw within eyesight. No, that's not true. That's not true. There is a limit. You can't throw things at people from way across the room.
Well, I'll tell you something about eyesight is it takes 20/20 vision to fly any kind of an aircraft, and staying up all night watching soccer, your cones and your retina will be overexposed to green. So just pointing that out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible our man's is very dry-eyed and has overexposed green adapted retinas.
Yeah, might run into the Bioshock tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he might just goddamn crash.
I think that in the interest of interestingness, Agent 47 should win, because otherwise it's we just got a plane that's going to blow everything up with bombs,
Well, I don't know.
Sonic could get him.
I forget who else we got, though. Well, okay, all right.
So he's trying to throw the hot dog into the turbine or something?
Yeah,
It's a
I think that's
turbine.
what's happening here.
And then
I do think
I
that,
feel like that turbine's
probably Truxton would blow him up.
Yeah, but I mean, what's Agent 47 going to be doing? He's going to be wearing full Viking armor.
That's true.
But he's just going to get blasted into trash.
yeah, I think we got to go with Truxton.
Yeah.
Blasted into trash.
Sorry, Hitman, this wasn't your mission. Next is Frey from Forspoken versus Aegis from Persona 3 The Answer. Frey has been buried up to her waist in the ground, and Aegis has conquered her greatest fears.
Well, Faye can get out of the ground pretty easy with all those spells and whatnot. So I think that's okay. I think we can, like, unless Aegis takes the immediate first strike, instant headshot, which is possible.
Have you seen her? She's got like a goddamn
rocket
launcher.
100 million guns,
Yeah, she's basically a gun closet that looks like a girl.
She's a living weapon. But I don't know exactly, because I didn't play to the end of Forspoken. I assume there's probably something about this. I don't know how her magic works against bullets, because she can deflect other things.
She can shield up.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
But she's buried up to her waist. She can't rotate around.
True.
I mean,
I'm having a tougher time calling this one because it's magic versus lots of guns.
Yeah. Which, any sufficiently developed technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Indeed.
And so lots of gun is basically magic in video game terms.
I'm looking up Frey's shield, and I'm seeing a thread on Game FAQs that says the shield counter is kind of horrible. So I'm not sure we can rely on that.
Well, if the shield counter is horrible, the match is horrible.
Yeah. I think that goes to Aegis then. Which takes us to our semis. We've got Sonic versus the Monster Hunter.
Sonic with a knife versus Monster Hunter with a big broadsword.
And tinnitus.
And the status changes. Okay, they remain. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. Sonic with a knife, and you can choose what time of day it is.
That's true.
Yeah. Sonic's pretty fast. He's still
Sonic.
pretty fast.
Monster Hunter's good at killing monsters.
True.
Sonic is technically a monster.
He's technically a monster.
He's a bit of a monster, yeah, but none of the Monster Hunters in Monster Hunter are quite as slow as, they're quite as fast as Sonic.
Yeah, all the monsters in Monster Hunter are somewhat slow.
I don't think we can use speed as just a, get out of jail free card. Like, I think an area attack would get Sonic.
Yeah, but Monster Hunter doesn't have that many of those kinds of things. There's things you can throw, but there's nothing that he couldn't, like, zip between, is my feeling.
Yeah, I don't see a way Monster Hunter wins this. He's Sonic the Hedgehog, and he has a knife.
Do you see that Monster Hunter movie? You did, right, Tim?
No, I didn't watch that, but it's on my list. It's on Netflix.
I watched it, and I found it a little disturbing.
It looks very strange. Yeah,
it was one of those movies where you have to pretend that someone can beat up Tony Jaa that's not Tony Jaa. I don't appreciate that. That came to me here because I keep thinking with the Monster Hunter, but is the Monster Hunter Tony Jaa? But if it's Tony Jaa in that movie, he can be beaten up by Mila Jovovich.
I think Mila Jovovich could beat up a lot of people, if you know what I mean.
But probably not Tony Jaa.
I can think of a lot of people who could beat up Tony Jaa. Can I just say,
Yeah.
I don't think any of his movies are that good, really. No offense to him.
He's good at Muay Thai, though.
Here's my concern about Sonic with a knife. If Sonic is forgets that he's holding that knife and rolls up into a ball, I think that's it for him.
It's true.
But
He just tucks it into his chest. What do you mean?
Yeah.
He may have a sheath as well. We don't know that.
Yeah.
We have not established whether or not Sonic has a sheath.
If it's a Bowie knife, it's got some sort of a leather sort of sheath.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. There goes my argument. So I think Sonic wins this one as well.
Yeah.
Next match is the Truxton ship versus Aegis. I'll remind you that Aegis has conquered her greatest fears, and Tatsuo is very tired.
So I think Aegis actually wins this one because she's got all them guns.
Yeah, she's got the range.
Her vision's not impaired. And so I think in this case, we're like mechanized gun machine versus mechanized gun machine. One can fly, the other one has more guns, but the one with the impaired eyesight in this case, I think is the loser. So
that's fair. Yeah, the sleepy one loses here. Which brings us to our most boring finale, Sonic the Hedgehog versus a super robot.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog has killed.
Sonic has killed so many super robots, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is basically like eating a hot dog for him.
It is.
Yeah.
He picks up the half of a foot-long hot dog left by
Agent 47.
Agent 47, and he
runs over to the concession stand where they got the chili and the pump. You know, like 7-Eleven. Yeah.
Yeah. and he's going, wow!
After he finds a mysterious way to defeat Aegis, does he get a Chaos Emerald?
Yes, he gets 1 Chaos Emerald.
Nice.
And we'll see what he does with that if we get a 4th season of Violence Island. That's up to you.
Oh, there goes that fishing line.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Over the next month, I'm going to count up our 5-star reviews on iTunes. And yeah, I want you to comment whether we should bring back Violence Island or retire Violence Island. And I will tally up the votes accordingly.
Retirement Island.
Yeah. For now, I would like to hear your recommendations.
Recommendatio. Well, I got a couple. If you like kind of, I think they call it down-tempo electronic music with vocals and things, check out Weekend Players, their album Pursuit of Happiness. It's pretty cool. It's definitely in that right kind of early 2000s, like the chiller songs from Ridge Racer kind of vibe. If you like that sort of thing, then give this a listen. You might have and enjoy. And another one is a manga that we've been passing around in the Necrosoft work chat quite a bit called The Summer Hikaru Died. It's about a guy, this isn't a spoiler because it's revealed in the first 3 pages. It's about a guy and his friend, but his friend is not his friend anymore. His friend is somebody who is something that came back from the mountains and occupied the body of his dead friend. And it's very slice of lifey, but also mythology oriented. Also, woof. It's pretty cool. Give it a shot. That's what I have.
Ooh.
All right, I got a couple quick food ones.
All right.
You can just buy dehydrated cheddar as powder.
DHC, they call it.
Yeah. It's got a lot of uses. It's the stuff that comes in your macaroni and cheese, but you can get like really nice one. And I don't know, I just put it in scrambled eggs, stuff like that. It's got its uses.
Artisanal craft powder.
Another food thing I'll recommend, because we were just talking about it, is seems to be more of an East Coast thing. Never ever seen it here for sale. It's called hoagie spread. It's literally just crushed red peppers in a jar. It's good in just about anything where sort of vinegary pepper would be nice. I just put it in some tuna today. So that I order from Cento, Cento.
Hoagie spread.
So I recently ordered a case of 6 giant jars because we go through it pretty quick.
Nice.
I'm technically, not a lot of people know this about me. I'm technically from the East Coast, and I'm not technically. It's complicated, but my parents are extreme East Coast people who settled in the Midwest. My mom is from the Philadelphia area, and she has never not called a sandwich that is even slightly longer than it is wide not a hoagie. She has never not called it a hoagie. If a sandwich is round, like if it's a Kaiser roll that has been squeezed a little tiny bit on the sides, that's a hoagie. Any sandwich is a hoagie, according to my mom, which is crazy.
I don't know that I disagree. I don't know.
Use kids want some hoagies?
I took one of those regional dialect quiz things recently, and one of the questions was, what do you call a foot-long sandwich? And there were things like hero and sub and
submarines, some call them.
And I think I had to answer, I don't have a word for that, because I couldn't think of one that I would just use. Like if I saw it, I would say that's a sandwich.
Yeah, you'd say sandwich. I think that's a sandwich.
Yeah, it's just a sandwich.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird to have to think about that and be like,
I mean, believe it or not, I believe sandwich is the default answer.
Oh yeah.
I think calling it a sub or a submarine sandwich is actually it's kind of trickled out of the jargon sphere. And I think hoagie is very specific to East Coast, Eastern Pennsylvania in particular. And
hero. I don't know.
Hero is they say that in New York, but again, most people almost everywhere in America just say sandwich.
Yeah.
Like even a Subway sandwich. But
I guess that's why it's a dialect test, because if you choose one of those, then it's like more likely that you're from this little point.
It's an easy, it's like a personality test. That's like, which of your parents would you kill first or whatever, right? Like it's, not everybody's ever thought about that. And people who have, they'll answer in a way particular to their personality problem.
One of the ones I most enjoyed from that was they show you which things make you the most regional. And one of the things that made me the most California was there was a question, what do you call a drive-through liquor store? And
a beautiful dream.
And one of the answers was, I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
And I chose that. And that was like Bay
Just
Area.
Instantly logged you out and said thank you for participating.
Like for some reason that
the police
response
are on their way.
pegged me as Bay Area. And I'm sure there are plenty of places that don't have drive-through liquor stores.
We didn't have those in Vegas.
Yeah.
Literally nowhere I have ever lived has had a drive-through liquor store.
I also said on that same quiz, I've never heard of this. And I think I also got Bay Area for the area.
I think that might be, they might have just had a little false flag in there.
I wouldn't put it past the thing on the internet to be wrong.
Indeed. Indeed.
I think I've accidentally, over whatever process of this life, built up an immunity to any diagnosis by a test such as that. So
Makes sense.
I'd take it, but it's I don't know. I can use whatever words I want depending on where I am. I can call it pop, and it doesn't sound like I can call this a can of pop, and nobody knows.
Oh wow!
Like, nobody would have any idea.
I couldn't do it. I don't think.
Yeah, I can do it without blinking a goddamn eye. Same as speaking a language.
I'd
basically
start sweating. They'd just kick me. They'd kick me right out. They'd be like, "You ain't from around here."
Yeah, I've never gotten the "you ain't from around here." You may not know this about me, listener, but
I get it here.
That's good. That's good. But when I leave my home, I'm usually wearing a t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans. I don't wear a clown outfit. Much as you might hear my voice and think, "Oh, this guy probably wears a clown outfit everywhere." No. Or a t-shirt and jeans when I go to Nebraska.
You're not singing do 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 do.
I've never once been called a city slicker by a man in a cowboy hat, no matter where I've been. Not bad. Not bad. I go to China. I speak Chinese. Nobody says, "Oh, you're not from around here, are you?" That's not true. People in China are the least impressed if you speak their language of any country in the world. You can speak a brick of fluent Chinese that's very complicated to a guy in a bank, and he'll just talk to you. It's nice. There's no, "Oh, you speak very well for a obviously foreign person."
I found there's more of that in Japan than there used to now. Used to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's neat.
Especially in Tokyo. There's more people that are just like, they just keep talking to you. And I had the excellent experience of being in a McDonald's speaking to a person that worked there, the cashier, and she asked me a question that I didn't understand, and I asked her to rephrase it, and she rephrased it in Japanese, and then I understood it. Because we've all had this experience where the rephrase is like, "Uh-oh, this person doesn't speak my language," and then it just causes a short circuit. But no, it was just a fluid like retarget, and so yeah, I think things are going in a positive direction over there.
That rules.
Yeah.
I will say that I never got Nihongo Jozu Desu like after like a year. Mm-hmm. So I got 0 of those after year 1, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah,
what does that mean, dear listener? Nihongo Jozu Desu is what a Japanese person says when they want to lie to you about how good your Japanese is.
Yeah.
So
I've got some recommendations of my own.
Oh, yeah?
I would like to recommend that if you're listening to this podcast, you please rate and review our show. It really helps us out. You could also determine the future of Violence Island. You could also support us on patreon.com/insertcredit to pay me and some other people. You could also sponsor our show with an advertisement or personal message, which you can do by contacting us at show@insertcredit.com. You could join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find us on youtube.com/insertcreditshow. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And would you kindly enjoy this podcast?
Thank you for watching.